All right, game one's about to begin. Let's find out who's going to jump out to an early lead between Tice and Hyped. Hyped needs to win this one, or else, well, he's probably in position to not advance in this tournament and drop out here. So this is an important series for him. Keeping the Black Knight to start things off. It seems like he's
Really,
doing his homework.
yeah, I mean, Hyped is also preparing for those tournaments, and if you study Thijs, you know that Thijs really favors the taunts as cards. So Thijs was playing this kind of druid, obviously a different kind before Naxxramas, but a similar deck on the King of the Hill series. So if you know Thijs, if you watch some of his show matches, and if you follow him in the recent tournaments, you know that he favors those cards. So then keeping the Black Knight, especially if you have a coin, is a pretty good call. Also, if Druid player just plays Druid of the Claw as a taunt, then have you seen that fire, by the way? That was
Oh
awkward.
yeah, don't worry about that. It's just a little bit of a glitch. Tice, yeah, I think you're bringing up a good point. Tice needs a faster start than this, but at the same time, Warrior is one of those decks where if it has a slow start, you're kind of not really worrying about anything. Armor up will inevitably happen. Is most likely. It's very rare that Ramp Druid gets to pressure his opponent with keeping his armor low, just because unless you're able to put out something like Innervate and then put out pressure early. So this slow start from Tice is a little scary for any of his fans watching, but at the same time, it's not game ending by any means.
Well, this turn is pretty meek, but then again, from turn 4, he will be able to just play cards consistently. Sanjin followed by Druid of the Claw, followed by Kern, and then he should be able to draw something for turn 7, and then Kel'Thuzad. So if Hyped is able to consistently kill all the cards Tice is playing, then he will get an edge. But all those cards are pretty healthy with a lot of well, health and hard to remove, especially Kern.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. It's still far from being decided whatsoever. The fact is, if Warrior can kind of efficiently remove this with Execute, if he picks up another way, ooh, Shield Slam. Shield Block
Kill
Shield
some
Slam is an option
Sylvanas.
here.
Oh yeah, certainly that's a pretty nice play. But basically, Hype's hand is also pretty nice with Sylvanas, Faceless, uh, Ragnaros, and obviously that Black Knight. Well, now if he plays Shield Block, Shield Slam, he removes this Senjin, and then Thijs will have to play Druid of the Claw as a taunt, and Hype has a Black Knight for that. So that might be the point where Hype actually just swings the game to his favor.
Well, does he have to play Anton? What if he plays in a charge and just kills off the Acolyte so he can't proc 2 draws?
That's also an option, yeah.
And you also do play around Black Knight, but then you're vulnerable to something like Fiery War Axe. So it is a little bit of give or take. Which are you going to play around? Which is more common? And it is Fiery War Axe as the more common card. Not as easy as a choice as you might think to avoid Black Knight.
Well, the thing is, like, you're facing 4 points of mana, so are you really thinking about Black Knight here?
True. The coin Black Knight, you'll never suspect it. And this is one of the best targets other than Ancient of War, but the problem is that Ancient of War doesn't come out for a couple more turns. And so holding Black Knight is a little bit of a greedier play. He does have an alternative, though. He did draw another quality min to contest this Druid of the Claw. Then how much are
It,
you afraid of his Black Knight and Grieving Advantage? So I think
it's
it's too much to
just
pass
too
up here.
good. It's
Yep.
just too good. Deal 6 points of damage and put a 4/5 minion into play. Come on. And this is the way how the Black Knight can actually snowball the game. In some cases, it's just a defensive card, but here, just removing that threat, the 4/6 Druid. Well, for Tice, the good news is that the Black Knight is out of the way, so now he can play all his taunts to his card's content, but still, he will be taking some damage. Turn is nice, but then again, Hyped his Faceless.
Oh, man. Right, Faceless is an opportunity to just put more pressure back. Could also stall it by playing some Taunter, so that way Kieran can't get a maximum value and he can kind of dictate the trades. Not to mention that Sylvanas played after Kieran is also powerful. Granted that your Death Rattle will trigger after Bane gets summoned, so you're guaranteed to steal it if he goes for some kind of trade.
It's funny how Hype is in a situation where he can actually push with damage, where Warrior is mostly about board control and trying to get remove stuff. But now with 6 points of damage and being able to play Faces into Kern, he's developing a really board that's hard to remove for Druid. Like, even if Druid starts swiping everything, then you're just drawing cards, getting armor. You're still comfy on 29 points plus 6 armor, so you can just start dealing damage. If he attacks here for 6, then he gets rid to 20. There's only a single Kern. He has his own Kern as well. Druid will never brawl, so you put yourself in a situation where, hey, I'm just an aggressor here. I can just deal damage and win this, especially with all the taunts in his hand as well, because he will be able to stop everything that's happening after that. And he takes that decision. He goes for face.
I like it. It's an opportunity to recognize your position. Ooh, Keeper of the Grove, though, to silence some of these minions is an important draw.
But then your mana curve is funny, because if you play Keeper, you're left with 3, so you can only Wrath something.
I mean, so then Faceless and Wrath, so you have 3 Cairns on the field?
The Cairn Wars. Garrus is not fit to rule
4 or 5 battles.
Wait, did I say Cairn? It's Cairn.
Close enough. People know English isn't your first. I think you're doing fine, man. Don't worry about him.
It's Kern. I'm just kidding, because like a lot of people actually mispronounce Cairn and Blade Fury.
You're talking about one specific person, but I know what you mean.
It's because I'm staring at Sylvanas. This reminds me.
This is because, again, he doesn't feel like there's a big threat to potentially die. I don't think that Thijs is afraid of just getting bursted here, because it is going to be turn 7. And I think the Cairn getting value, or sorry, the Faceless getting value on the Cairn also allows it to fight back against the board, make you more resilient to execute and shield slams as well. Because from this position, Warrior can be very powerful because you utilize your removal very effectively while pushing for damage.
I'm staring at that Kel'Thuzad. I'm staring at that Kel'Thuzad, and if both of those currents are not removed, then Kel'Thuzad will have so much value. Oh my god.
Be 4 Cairns on Thijs' side.
Yeah, so this was pretty well played by Thijs, setting up this Kel'Thuzad play next turn. Even if Kel'Thuzad is not an option because the board is removed, he still has like double swipe, and Keeper. So if he wins right now with the board presence, if he drops the number that's not really threatening for him, he will be able to regain the board from turn 8. And it's so funny because it's so late. Like previously in the previous metagame, when we were talking about turn 8, turn 9, that was just end of the game. And here, the game will start on turn 8.
Yeah, this is where the real chess match begins, with terms of like trying to get yourself in a position where the other control deck can't bounce back unless they have the exact removal they need. Like, there's going to be a point where if you utilize Kill the Zod, they have to have Brawl. But even then, I read something on the forums, I think yesterday, that says Kill the Zod survives Brawl no matter what. Is that true?
I think there is a bug. I didn't read into that much. And obviously, if you Brawl and Kel'Thuzad survives, everything else that is a friendly minion returns to play. But apparently, there is a bug that Kel'Thuzad actually survives the Brawl.
That's kind of weird. So hopefully that's not really the case in this scenario.
Well, there's no Brawl in hype deck, so...
Oh, that's true. Forgot about that.
But still, do you play Kel'Thuzad in here? Now this Sylvanas actually makes it all weird.
Yeah, you gotta silence that. It's a high priority.
Thing is, like, you only have 15 points of health. So you need to silence it and clear, possibly.
Yeah, most likely some combination of swipe and being able to remove. Have to be mindful of the incoming turns with Gromosh or even Ragnaros.
Turn 8, Ragnaros might be disastrous. So yeah, certainly you have to use Keeper of the Grove to silence. Probably use swipe. Then turn 9 is also not bad for you because you still have like Sludge Belcher and swipe to remove stuff and be able to taunt up to be able to survive.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Sylvanas is just too much of a threat. Oh wow, is he gonna really risk it though? He needs to kind of act fast though. Thijs is running out of time. He's gonna allow him. He's gonna give up the Keeper of the Grove. Oh no! He ran out of time, and the Bane was not able to attack into Sylvanas.
Roped? Oh my god! It actually happened.
Uh-oh. Thijs taking his time, and ends up biting him in the back. This is really bad situation now.
My greetings.
It's disastrous. Right now, Hype can actually... Can he remove the Keeper of the Grove and get a healthy Bane? Also, the question is... okay, the Curtain was played first. So, if Curtain was played first, then he will get a Bane token. And Sylvanas will be able to steal one of the healthy Bane. So, right now, it's if he attacks with Sylvanas into Curtain, he will have a 66% chance to get a 4-5.
I mean, you can also just pick up value with Sylvanas. It still seems like as long as Cairn survives, you can just use Sylvanas to attack into Keeper of the Grove. And I even like the Unstable Goal to kind of pressure it, so that way if he gets a little too careless, Sylvanas can just be activated anyways. I like this play the most as well.
Also because you know that one of the Keeper of the Groves was used to silence Kern. So right now we are in a situation where you take a gamble that the second Keeper is not there.
You're right.
Ty's concerned. Also, when you actually get roped, so when you are not able to finish your action before the rope goes off, it's kind of like a mental blow. And you feel, hey, I messed up. What do I do now? Like, I had a good plan, and now it backfired because I was too slow. I'm in a bad position. But I feel like Thijs is actually over the rope situation. He's focused on his turn now.
Thijs is thinking about going for Kel'Thuzad, but he wants to activate the Death Rattle first so he doesn't take damage on Kel'Thuzad unnecessarily. As long as you play the Kel'Thuzad sometime during the turn, it doesn't need to be live before the minions die. But this is a smart sequencing on his half. If he chooses to go for it, of course, you're always just afraid of Sylvanas taking everything. And that's why Sylvanas need to be dealt with, and we even recommended silencing it in the first place.
Oh, he decides not to play Kel'Thuzad.
Oh man, Thijs is going down to the rope every single time, and it's getting very close. He's also afraid of something like Romach's Whirlwind to just kill him, so he's playing around that.
Is anybody still playing Whirlwind, by the way? I haven't seen Whirlwind in a long time. Seems like everybody's playing only Deathspite, and they did have to cut Whirlwind.
Well, we only seen Hyped and Trump this tournament playing that kind of warrior deck. Maybe other people aren't necessarily giving up Whirlwind as freely and easily. It's still a very versatile card. But when you don't have to and you're allowed to play greedy and you have so many big threats, you can squeeze in pretty much every single legendary you'd hope for.
Right now it looks so weird for Thijs. It's Hype will get he will get his 5/5. He will play something. He has 9 points of mana. So the next thing Thijs can do is just play double Sludge Belcher. But those guys will just die.
Do you think it's a Ragnaros turn? I feel like it is.
Oh yeah, certainly. You just attack into a 4/4, get the 5/5, play Ragnaros, attack for 4. To deal 12 points of damage.
Wow. Being super duper safe. Well, he's gonna play it. He's gonna play it very value intensive, trying to make sure to optimize his lower minions, get armor as much as he can, and then like force a bunch of removal out of his opponent. Like Druid still has a really difficult time dealing with this much health on the board.
It's still fine. It seems like you have all the time in the world. You have a big board. You have the taunters. You have a lot of armor, so you don't have to rush it. And Ragnaros was kind of risky because there's also always a chance for a second Faceless and Big Game Hunter. Especially because this Druid is playing those kinds of combination of cards. But then being Thijs, you are in a really bad spot. You lose next turn.
Yeah, you're staring at
14.
You've got 14 damage alone, and if you just kind of pair together Death Spite or something, you're done. The Ragnaros has to hit something really important, like this Ancient of Lower Bane. Either one of these targets would be optimal.
Oh
no, it hits for the weakest targets.
It's so much
also
armor.
gives him a insane amount of armor. I feel like Hype is going to be really happy he picks up Execute, but keep in mind he has Ragnaros as a potential finish here. In fact, you can set it up for the 50-50.
I bet that Thijs is actually thinking about the second deck that he's going to bring. Because
Quite
this
possibly.
situation is helpless.
I think you go for the 50-50 coin flip to win the game, and Ragnaros either lives or dies, but either way, you're in position to be very successful. And looks like Hyped will go for the Rag finally.
A good call. It's a 50-50 winner, win more.
Well, you know, Type survives, but really much how long are you going to survive
Big
for?
Hunter top deck. Sick.
Wow. That
Well,
top deck.
he gets satisfaction at least. But actually, it's I'm not sure if it's better not to play it and just hide information for the future rounds.
Well, the games were played a few days ago, so I don't think the players are able to utilize that information unless something like you know, someone is watching Tice's play directly over his shoulder and then reporting it. Who knows? Either way, Hyped has won this game, and he will go out to a 1-0 lead. He defeats the Ramp Druid, and now Tice will have to turn to something else in order to come back in the series.
Well played by both players, and it was what I expected it to be. We've seen so many legendary cards. We've seen 3 Cairns at the same time on board, Sylvanas. I'm kind of sad that we didn't see Kel'Thuzad, but Hype just grasped the opportunity to be aggressive, and he was pushing with damage, just denying Tice.
Really late. But more importantly, I think it's also about how you use these smaller cards. Like, how does Fiery War Axe and then something like Cruel Taskmaster able to take out a legitimate threat? So if Tice can get really good value off of these smaller cards, which seems to be slipped in, while Hyped has cut those cards for, you know, more powerful late game, that's an opportunity for Tice to pressure his opponent. There's 2 ways to kind of play the control mirror as well with Warrior. KitKat is very insistent that he likes to play aggressive, and that's why he really liked cards like Kor'kron Elite, not just for hunters, but also winning the Warrior mirror. But now that meta has slowed down a considerable amount and Kor'kron Elites are no longer common, it seems like Warrior has a lot less tools and options to be able to pressure their opponents.
What do you think about Tash's hand? I'd say it's well paid.
It's a lot of yellow and there's a coin. So it seems like he's very well prepared for any kind of late game scenario.
It's funny how they didn't get armor smiths. Yeah, right now it will be mostly about armoring up, just maybe playing the unstable ghoul.
Well, even then, you know, you don't want to play unstable ghouls, so it just dies to a Fire War Axe, because these are your whirlwinds effectively. And unstable ghoul can sneak in damage. I guess you'll make him play a little bit off mana curve, but it's still one of these situations where, do I allow my opponent to get early value off of cards, and then, or do I just play really passive? Like, what kind of game are you trying to set up here with the cards?
I think it's like if you play unstable ghoul, like Hype was also thinking about it. Do I play it and try to get out of some of the armor, like force my opponent to play a card that will answer unstable ghoul, and if he doesn't, I will be able to attack a couple of times, just get some points of armor out of Thijs. But armoring up is also a very good decision here. As you said, it's unstable ghoul can be used later as a card that does the whirlwind, and also blocks attacks. Like,
yep,
if you're able to play it after removing Alexstrasza and prevent yourself from dying to Grommash, it's a pretty good card.
All right, well, Hyped also picks up 3 weapons, which makes his hand pretty clunky, but at least it gives him some ability to kind of utilize some of this armor early. And health also matters to a certain point in this matchup. As much as you might have like 50 health versus like 35 health, it really does matter about board control up to a certain point, because things like Alexstrasza, and you can also exhaust their amount of removal with shield slams, only matters to the point where you have a really big development on the board, so that way you can push for damage. So as much as maybe Tice goes up to 50 health and Hype stays around here in the mid-30s, it's still kind of like an even game. Don't be deceived by those health counts as a lead.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Even though Hype has 3 weapons, which might seem clunky, he has 2 key cards, which are Alexstrasza and Grommash. So if he is able to clear the board and be able to play that Alexstrasza, just deal 15 points of damage, might be able to push and actually win. But on the other hand, Thijs has a lot of legendary cards as well, which are pretty important. And he has a very good curve with turn 5 Sludge Belcher, turn 6 Sylvanas, or Lotheb, and then turn 7 he can play a lot of cards in turn 7 as well, and turn 8 Kel'Thuzad. If he will be able to develop his board and then play Kel'Thuzad with at least 1 minion, that might be devastating, especially because Ragnaros will be following up after Kel'Thuzad if possible. Will be another minion that has to be removed. Basically play as many threats as possible.
Oh yeah, there's so many threats. It's like there's just not enough removal in the world to kill off everything that a control warrior has. But the way to kind of make it difficult is warrior doesn't have enough mana, obviously, to play all these things very quickly. So you have to kind of take a proactive stance. I like the idea of saving Lotheb for a turn where you really want to secure your board, so that way they can't easily go for like an execute and play their own threat. So I feel like saving it in hand and playing Sludge Belcher makes total sense here. As much as you're, again, a little bit sad to lose your Sludge Belcher to something like Fire Warax and Undead Ghoul attacking into it.
By the way, I really like the warrior mechanics. It feels like you're playing a warrior because you get a lot of armor, you apply big threats. So as compared, as opposed to like other classes which are really theme oriented, warrior, it really feels like you're playing this armored guy that's kind of slow but still pretty hard to kill, and playing those all the big things that accompany him.
Well, it's funny because people really didn't know if Control Warrior was really a thing until a few months into the beta. Everyone was playing Warrior with like weapons and, you know, mortal strikes to go to the face, and they thought Warrior was kind of a useless class. And then all of a sudden, you know, players like Kit Kats and Backspace were innovating the deck a lot in order to kind of show people that it can be played control style. And even you, Nimps, you were playing as OTK style with Nyx. You were playing like Alex Straza with charge for 0 mana, and then you had Gorehowl.
Oh yeah, I did, but
Yeah.
mostly because I really like big packets of damage, and OTK Warrior, you know, was killing in 1 turn.
Yeah, with Molten Giants and Pandas or Alex Straza charges. Those were the good old days.
Yeah, pretty sick combos. But you know, pretty uninteractive as well. Here we see a lot of interaction. Our players just they play minions. They try to think what is your opponent going to play next. And with the OTK builds that got nerfed, you were just ignoring the board. You were just defending all the time. It didn't matter what your opponent was playing. You had an answer for everything. And then at some point you were just winning in 1 turn. Just playing Gorehowl and Alex Straza, and that's it. Here we can see a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, you know, this is interesting that Thijs is playing Sylvanas here. I mean, he didn't really have that big an alternative, really. He had Faceless and nothing else worth the Faceless thing. So, and again, he wants to save Lotheb for an important turn to make sure to deny ability to use removal easy like Brawl. But Sylvanas is also not only a way to kind of get the board clear, but also a way to answer bigger threats. And it's one of those MVP cards in the control mirror, so it's kind of painful to toss it out this early and potentially pick up no value in return.
Do you play Lotheb, then Shield Slam your attack with Sylvanas face, and then Shield Slam your Sylvanas, so that you actually gain the board? You have a 5/5, you have a 4/5. You dealt 5 points of damage. I'm not sure about this.
Sylvanas is kind of like another form of removal in the control mirrors, though. So you are kind of giving up another form of removal to kind of kill it off. I do like the idea of faceting your Sylvanas, though, so that way you can at least continue to get a little bit of traction. But again, Fiery Warax gonna pull in a lot of value.
But he didn't attack with it. Another option was to actually like Shield Slam the 4/5, but
yeah. But this is where, like, I think Hype can really start pulling ahead. As again, he's still at a life total where it's much lower than his opponent. Actually, I thought Thijs was in the 40s, but I guess he's in the mid-30s. But still, the fact is he's getting so much run. Like, Sylvanas and Faces has been killed, and he still has some of the best cards waiting. Now, Thijs still has big threats on the path, right? He's got Kel'Thuzad, he's got Ragnaros. But if Hype can continue to utilize this ability to remove very effectively with just smaller amount of cards and minions, by the time his threats come out, it's going to be really difficult for Thijs to deal with.
Well, right now Thijs just developed his board for a sweet Kel'Thuzad turn, and he removed all the armor from Hype. So even if Hype would get like a shield slam, it wouldn't work. And now after Lothep, he has to play a minion. But what do you even play? Playing Alexstrasza here doesn't do that much. Or maybe it is an Alexstrasza turn, because you just deal 15 points of damage, and then you can follow up with the Fear Warx to get rid of an armor. Your opponent will have to remove Alexstrasza, because your opponent has 9 points of damage, so he can get you to 11.
Yeah, I like Alexstrasza for a couple reasons as well. The first is that the removal that's being used on Ragnaros is about the same as Alexstrasza anyways, and Alexstrasza's effect is guaranteed. Also, if Ragnaros hits the face, it's kind of redundant with Alexstrasza anyways, because Alexstrasza is going to be cutting in that 4 damage multiple times over with setting it to 15. And also it uses your mana curve a little bit more effectively, so you get the little nice insurance that you're playing as optimally as possible. The downside is there any way for you to die? Because his opponent does have 9 damage on the field, but unless he has Grommash Inner Rage, there's no way for him, or Leroy Faceless, which isn't likely at all. There's no way for him to die.
Oh my god. This is a nice top deck.
Oh, you're right. Because now with Kael'thasad plus Execute, sick life.
This is
Hype
a pretty sick play. Thijs has Brawl. Hype doesn't have Brawl.
Yeah, Hype doesn't have a way to answer a mass board of legendaries.
What do you think about cutting Brawl, by the way? He did cut Brawl because he has a greedy warrior.
Like, I mean, it really does matter with things like how you ban and how you're bringing. Like, what are you expecting if you ban Hunter? Are you expecting Miracle? Is a Brawl cut so that way you can address the Miracle matchup? I don't know. It's something that I'll probably ask Hyped and report on. Maybe even ask him tonight after the matches.
Well, Kael'thasad is now in play, and it will be super hard to remove this board.
He needs Ragnar to hit Kael'thasad. This is what he needs. Or he has to use Cruel Taskmaster and Grommash to remove. But either one is still not preferable.
Fun fact, he can actually go yellow mode. You'll have to make an assumption, hey, there is no way I'm going to die next turn. So play to win. How is he going to play to win? If he goes... Can he go Ragnaros? Like, if he goes Grommash, Cruel Taskmaster, that's 12 plus 3. That's 15 points of damage. So he will leave his opponent at 5 points of damage. And 5 health in total. So Thijs will have to armor up and he will have 7. And can you kill Thijs after that? It will be probably hard.
It sounds really hard, but the Grommash is probably the best way to kind of deal with this at the moment. Kael'thasad is just too much of a threat. And not to mention that your opponent has, well, he had 15 points of damage on board, and it was very easy to piece together a little bit more. So now Thijs, he picks up one of his smaller minions. He's starting to run a little bit lower on the threats, but now he still has a way to kind of put pressure on if he just goes for Ragnaros and Execute.
Well, Thijs has all the tools he wants. He can clear the board and play Ragnaros if he wants to.
That's one of the best cards to see your opponent use as removal, because now Grommash isn't a finisher. So now he doesn't have, he can play a little bit more greedy with his life. He doesn't have to worry about being at 10 to 12 anymore, because now he has the option to ignore a finisher. Granted, he doesn't play his own Grommash and it gets faceless.
Well, he still has 21 points of health with counting that 6 armor.
Right.
So he's pretty safe with what's happening here.
And Hyped is looking like he's in trouble.
Oh, he is in trouble. He is dying here.
Oh,
being purged
gosh.
by fire.
Well, Armor Smith doesn't fix his problems immediately. I think Ragnaros on Hype's end is the only thing that he can get him out of the situation.
The question is, how can you commit Sudoku being Hyped?
Well, I mean, it's not over yet, because if he Ragnaroses and then armors up, he's at 7 life and Thijs has 6 damage on board.
You mean that he will have to hit Ragnaros with Ragnaros?
Yes. That is his only out at the moment.
And then attack face with the weapon. Be able to play Death Spite next turn.
Also true. In fact, you're right. And if the opponent can't kill it and Deathbite and Ragnaros hits, that's 12 damage, 15 from the Fiery War Axe. Still a little bit short. Hyped
No,
is 3 turns away at least from winning.
he's dead anyway. Like if Hype plays Ragnaros in here, he has still 5 points of health. So if he armors up, that's 7.
Yeah, he'll be 1 out of range.
1 out of range if he hits Ragnaros.
Yeah, that's a big if. 25% chance. I think he's got to go for it because every other option seems like delaying the inevitable. Shield block can't lead into anything that'll completely save him. So Hype's gonna go for the YOLO rag, but it's come down to this.
If he plays Armor Smith, he's dead.
No, Armor Smith. No. You have to armor up. You have to armor up. Okay.
Attack with weapon as well.
Well, he didn't get to attack. Oh, and it hits the face. Now Ragnaros can still miss if it hits Hype's Ragnaros. If it hits Hype's Ragnaros, then Hype still lives. Or if Thijs feels like man enough to brawl so that his Ragnaros wins and then goes for the win. But absolutely no need to do that.
What can Hype actually draw to be able to win this game? He used Alexstrasza, he used Grommash, he used Ragnaros. Maybe if he gets a Sludge Belcher and somehow... Okay.
I think Sludge Belcher would be one of those cards because you can shield block Armor Smith and Sludge Belcher and gain some life. Ragnaros hits the Ragnaros, allows you to live for 1 more turn. But Thijs looking like he wants to end it right here, and it's going to come down to a 50-50. Okay, so Hype still lives to tell the tale.
Sick.
Oh, and he gets a Faceless Manipulator.
Wait. Oh, okay. I think there's no way still.
Oh my goodness.
If he attacks into a ghoul.
Can't even attack into the ghoul with the weapon.
You have to armor up first.
All right, well, shield block to see what you get off the draw, because most likely Faceless is coming down. Sarah. In fact, you could Faceless attack and use the Armor Smith and then gain 2 armor from the Whirlwind. Then you're giving your opponent armor as well. Undead Ghoul is putting such a threat or dent into the plans of Hyped.
Wait, if you armor up... Yeah, you give your opponent armor. So, oh my god, this ghoul.
In fact, you probably have to play Armor Smith, so that way it's another target for Ragnaros. All right, another big moment. So Hyped is going to be at 6 health, 7 health. He needs to hit Ragnaros again, because then he's going to survive barely. Oh, okay, well, at least Lotheb is a nice way to remove some of the guaranteed damage.
It's not bad, by the way. He's somehow hanging there. Faceless was the card he needed.
And if Ragnaros hits the Armor Smith, Hyped is still... I don't even know how this keeps happening. Ragnaros RNG always makes for an exciting game, but it's going so long. Usually when you allow your opponent to get 4 or 5 Ragnaros shots, that's game ending. But it's still in it for Hyped.
This Ragnaros.
1 in 3 chance to win the game. Can Thijs end it here? Or will this game continue?
If it hits Armor Smith, that's huge. Okay. That's it.
All right. Well, Hype couldn't continue the dream, and Thijs finally gets closure on this Warrior Mirror match.
From Thijs.
Well, hey, Mage deck.
Okay.
People haven't played around Cone of Cold, but that might come into relevance eventually.
That's a good card, by the way. And people will have to play around it. Hyped is playing one, so...
Hello.
Is Thijs playing Spectral Knights? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know if Spectral Knights work as well in Control Warrior unless you're really trying to pressure Miracle Rogues. Like, as a ladder deck, it felt like it made sense because Spectral Knights can't be removed easily by most classes, and Rogue is so spell-intensive that Spectral Knights was able to do so much. But in tournaments, I haven't seen Spectral Knights and Warrior in a while.
By the way, right now, Hyped actually got all the draw cards he needed. Against the Mask, he just didn't get those Arcane Intellects, so he ran out of cards at some point. And here, he will be drawing a lot of cards, so he might fill his hand with all the cards he needs.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Mage's draw mechanics are really heavily dependent on these kinds of things, especially if you're not running like 2 copies of Acolyte of Pain or something. And duplicate is also an important way to continue your draws too.
There is an Acolyte of Pain from Ty's side, and I guess Hype will have to remove it as soon as possible to deny as much draw as possible. Do you even play Doomsayer here to remove this one free?
I mean, I think you're not really afraid of this Acolyte. I think you're more of like want to draw into Twilight Drake for the next turn.
Yeah, I agree. It's without Whirlwind, it's not that easy to actually like get value from Acolyte of Pain. So being mage, you can certainly just leave it be for a turn or two.
Let the pain speak to me.
Yeah, I think this mage deck is also a little bit less preoccupied with their opponent's cards versus setting up threats on the board. So I think this is a better rearrangement of priorities here.
What do you think about Doomsayer here with duplicate? So you're getting a lot more Doomsayers.
Two Doomsayers.
Well, you just clear the board and then you
guess.
get 2 more Doomsayers, especially against Warrior when there will be a lot of cards you want to remove. But on the other hand, Doomsayer
He has
for Warrior.
Cairn. He got Cairn next turn. So like that's a card that if it gets duplicated would be absolutely nasty. 2 Cairns, because then you
Versus
have turn
Warrior.
6. Yeah. It's like super Twilight Drake.
Yeah, Cairn is the best way to actually utilize duplicate.
Oh man, it's gonna be so nasty. Not to mention that Tice doesn't have direct removal, so even if the Cairn gets plopped down and Tice can't immediately remove it, he has to fight minion on minion.
Tice is also not doing any pressure at all.
He's afraid of Mirror Entity. He doesn't want to give him a Sludge Belcher.
Oh my god, is he not going to play it? Is he going to play Deathblade?
He needs to play Sludge Belcher so that way he has an answer to Cairn and can get ahead of it, but he's afraid of getting a copy to the mage deck.
But it's a reasonable play because what else are you going to do? Like, are you not going to play your Cairn on turn 6? You have to play Sludge Belcher and try to see if this is the Mirror Entity, because if you don't play it, then you're stuck and you won't be able to play any minion.
Okay, well, this gives Hype the opportunity to play Cairn finally. He picks up Frost Nova, a great card to synergize with Doomsayer. And now Tice is almost certain that this is duplicate. You see 2 secrets, neither of them popped on Mirror Entity. Maybe one of them can be Counterspell and Ice Block, but chances are it's most likely duplicate with this kind of deck.
On the other hand, he will be able to draw 2 cards at least. So it's not that bad. And he can ignore Cairn as well. Like, there's no need to kill Cairn right now. Might be thinking, hey, if he has the Faceless Manipulator, what happens? But if you actually assume that it is a duplicate, you're fine with a Belcher because... Well, the thing about Mage is that even if Hyped attacks into Belcher, he will be able to kill Cairn with the hero power. But Tice can ignore it, and he's going to kill it.
He wants to set up for Deathbite the following turn, looks like.
Oh no, he's going for face. This is a correct decision here. The thing about Hearthstone and other card games is if there is a card that you don't have a good answer to, you just try to play around it and ignore it.
Wow. Speaking of not ignoring threats, Polymorph is one of the best ways to deal with Cairn and be able to get immediate value off of pressuring and be able to make a very small board from the Warrior. Things are looking, again, pretty good for Hyped, and he has Ice Block up, by the way, so Molten Giant turns can be extremely devastating with Frost Nova and setting up a really powerful swing turn.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous for Taish because can he expect those Molten Giants, by the way? Would you expect Molten Giants? Right now
If you
you
see
haven't seen
2
much.
secrets not proccing, I don't know, probably not. Probably you should expect Ice Block, and if so, then you have to expect Molten Giants. But if he's doing this, he's definitely not playing around it, and that's going to set up 1 mana cost Molten Giants.
Yeah, that's a sick play, but on the other hand, Hype will have to be wary about the possible brawl. So you might not want to just overextend and play double Molten and Sludge Belcher or
Sure.
Twilight Drake and double Molten. You might play Twilight Drake, one Molten, and
What to do?
maybe Hero Power. Like, being hyped in here, you have to think about how am I going to win this game? Like, what's my game plan? Doesn't have any taunts, like Taunt Giver. He has the Sludge Belcher, obviously, but he is not running Defender Vargas and Sunfield Protector. So those Molten Giants are his way to win the game. Like, he wants to play them and push, but if there's a brawl, it's a gamble.
I like Frost Nova coming out here though, because then he's afraid of Gromosh being able to end the game, and that's still only 10 damage before or not ending the game, but popping out his Ice Block. If you play like Twilight Drake and Frost Nova, your opponent has to have no. Excuse me, I forgot about the weapon attack.
Yeah,
this is actually really tricky. How do you do this then? You need a Sludge Belcher then to protect you?
Well, I think like you just go yellow. Double Molten Sludge Belcher.
All right. Well, I mean, that was the play we originally thought was the best here in order to kind of keep himself alive. But he's got to go for it. Although, but he's already kind of committed to it. He's running out of time, too.
You can play Twilight Drake and spam. Mistakes were made. Oh, he's going with your play.
Okay. Well, this makes sense because you have an ability to kind of frost. So even if Gromosh comes out, he still has to find a way to piece together damage to follow up the Ice Block. Gromosh is going to come out here.
Yes. He is getting that Ice Block out.
Yep. And he's going to also draw 2 cards, which could be critical. Depends on what he draws next.
Double Cairn.
Wow. That's an awesome hand. But how much damage does Hype have? He's got 20 damage right here. And he can also freeze his opponent Frost Nova off the top.
Frost Nova is pretty important.
Dude, that is insane. Now you can put up another Taunter so that way he can't just like Gore Howl you to death if he's running it. Oh my goodness, that Frost Nova was such an important draw here for Hyped.
Well, he still had Blizzard, so it's not, you know.
True, but in case his opponent has something like Gore Howl, he couldn't die to it.
Yeah, certainly. Like, Sludge Belcher and Frost Nova was the best possible option here. And Warrior, oh, there is a Brawl, but wait. Brawl is a card that might actually help him win in here.
Yeah,
also, I like Faceless.
Brawl is an important draw, too.
Well, with Faceless, and after Blizzard, that Faceless was just killing Hyped.
This is really intense. Hype needs one of his Giants to survive, and it looks like it does.
Wait, is that it?
Oh man, that's really bad news for Tice.
Okay, that's not it yet. He needs to draw cards. Do you draw cards? I guess you draw cards.
Right. Ragnaros. Not enough to kind of push through at the moment. Not enough mana, that is.
I guess you just kill the 3/5, attack for 1, and play Cairn.
Yeah, there's a case for Water Elemental to keep him frozen too. Either one is okay. They're about similar in stats and power. And you know, the nice thing too is that you get to use the Hero Power. Hero Power is actually a very relevant thing. The 1 damage to tickle them, so that way Ragnaros becomes a potential finish if you can Hero Power Ragnaros with an extra damage. So I actually like the Water Elemental here for those reasons.
I think like Thijs will have to armor up a lot.
Is there a way for him to wiggle out of here, by the way? Like, is Alex Strasing yourself the only way to survive?
No, I mean, he can play Sludge Belcher and Armor Smith. Yeah, or like Faceless Sludge Belcher. That's not bad at all. Because your opponent will have to deal with both Sludge Belchers, and then you still have the 1/2 tokens.
Man, it's been a pretty long series. These guys are going down to the rope every single time. Hyped, stopping for a water break. Gotta stay hydrated.
Well, the thing is, like, you have so many decisions, and they are so important. Like, one mistake can lose you the game.
And Tice cannot afford to make a mistake here, but it seems pretty clear cut. You gotta set up the biggest wall you can. So I feel like the Faceless comes out of here, but it looks like he might favor
Armor
another
Smith.
play instead.
Armor Smith Fireworks is also okay, because with Faceless into a 3-5, you're kind of playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Sure.
Oh,
Makes
he
sense.
did armor up. That's also fine.
Gonna armor
Utilizing
up.
your hero power.
Okay, is
Ice
there a way
block.
for Hype to kind of end this here?
Well, he got an ice block, so he has more turns anyway. Whatever Thijs
True.
actually does, Hype will not die this turn if he plays the ice block. But can he win this turn? That's the question.
Now, I'm trying to count through, but it seems like there's too much life gain through the Armor Smith.
Yeah, certainly Armor Smith is so annoying. So if you are not able to win, you just extend your lead. I would play Ice Block just to make sure that I'm not dead to random Ragnaros. And, you know, play Kern. It's fine.
Certainly, I think that's a very smart line because you want to deny the opportunity for your opponent to get some kind of weird surprise win that you're not expecting. And the fact is, he still has a really difficult time dealing with some of these minions. All right, it's on Tice's turn. He's only got Armor Smith.
You can get Black Knight value.
Black Knight value, Armor Smith into the Giant. Not bad.
Thick.
In fact, you know, with Slam Draw, he can also remove something like the Water Elemental.
Yeah, it's like Slam Water Elemental, play Fiery Warax. Black Knight value, attack into 8-1, kill Water Elemental, and then you still have...
Yeah, you still have Alexstrasza if he doesn't have burn, and you can put yourself back up to 15. But we know that Ragnaros will end the game from Hype's perspective, so if he chooses to go for something like this, he's making himself wide open for a game-ending move. All right, well, Faceless goes on down to Cairn, and the Fiery War Axe is going to try to remove, but I think this is going to set up a 50-50 situation for Hype just to win the game here.
Certainly, you want to take a 50-50, especially because you're still having that ice block active. So he can take his chances here. But maybe, instead of just taking a 50-50, is there a better play? To just, again,
The
ensure...
freeze.
Well, I mean, if you can take a 50-50, that's if you actually lose the 50% and you hit Kern, you might put yourself in a weird position. And the alternative would be to just not take a 50-50 this turn, but to make sure that you are going to win next turn. Then it's a better choice.
Yeah, that is true. Actually, if you hit Cairn and you lose the 50-50 on the Ragnaros, and then say he has his own Rag, and he puts that at range, and then he pops your Ice Block, maybe there's room for some kind of weird wiggles, but I like this play to just gotta go for it anyways. You gotta just find a way to win. But Ragnaros just refuses to end games early. He keeps dragging this out. He wants to make the process as long as possible.
He wants to be in the spotlight, come on.
That's true.
Or he just
min-maxers.
He just enjoys killing cows.
Execute.
Wait, this is the wiggle you were speaking about.
But it's a little annoying because he's frozen. The fact that Water Elemental came out is really starting to pay off for Hyped, by the way, because he can't use that axe.
I guess you slam first, see what you get.
Yep.
Or
As much as he can put out this... Well, no, I think he's going to put Alexstrasza on himself, so he can't slam.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, wait. Okay.
There you go. So now Tice
strike.
is still alive, but barely.
He is hanging there.
Does this mean you Alexstrasza yourself? That way you're not in threat lethal? I don't know.
Refusing
At this
to
stage,
lose.
Hype feels so far ahead.
Yeah, but still, he took the 50% and he actually lost the 50%. But now, Taj is just frozen.
Yeah, there's
This is
really nothing that I think that can come to mind. Everything else is really passive. He could slam and draw, but he's already used execute. He's still looking at lethal damage the following turn. And this game has dragged on for a while, but it seems like the end is near, and Hyped will take a series lead, barring any kind of insane top deck from Thijs.
even a shield slam is not cutting it. He would need like a flare and silence to flare the secret, silence Alexstrasza, and then win. But obviously flare is not in warrior, so
That would be pretty sick. Thijs is gonna just shield slam his own armor smith, but the inevitable is about to occur. Hyped has managed to take a win with his cool mage deck. That's pretty unique. People haven't really seen much of it. Doesn't run fireballs, but it's got enough damage anyways.
it worked pretty well. He was able to establish board control and board position against warrior, which is not that easy. With a
More and find out what happens between Thijs and Hyped. In this pivotal game, Hyped is one game away from securing the series and jumping back in the standings 1-1. But keep in mind, if he loses this series, it's a high likelihood, overwhelming percentage that shows that he's out of this tournament.
gets Arcane Intellect, which is pretty important. Without a card draw, he will be in a very bad situation. Right now, he at least has a chance to draw into important cards that he will be able to use against this
Wow.
handlock.
You know, how Hype is making really good reads. He's kept Black Knight against Thijs' Druid, and he's keeping Arcane Intellect against a Warlock deck, which he doesn't have guarantee if it's Zoo or if it's Handlock. It could go pretty poorly if it didn't swing his way. Like, say this, not double one drop, then Hype's in big trouble.
Oh yeah, if it would be a Zu... I think himself, oh my god. But if it would be a Zulok, Hype will be in a lot of trouble. But Hype told me before the tournament that he's really expecting only the control decks from those specific players. Thijs, Amaz, and even Haibara. Those guys are, they just love control. So that's why he's just going forward with his strategy and just keeping true to himself. And it pays off.
Well, it's also a testament to how much research he does. I mean, Thijs is a guy who plays hand.
So many
Lock very well, which is an interesting take because this is not. I mean, it's kind of his freeze mage, but not really because there's not a lot of burn to follow up the frosts. And the opening hand from Thijs is a little bit clunky. He doesn't have any of his 4 drops that he likes. He's kind of has to. Whoa, soul fire directly to the face. That is man mode. So that way he doesn't overdraw when he life taps.
That is a pretty interesting play.
Wow.
Have you seen something like that before?
Um.
Next level.
No, I haven't. I've seen people give up the coin, like they life tap and then they just coin for no reason. So that way they don't overdraw. But he does have double 5 drops, so keeping the coin is preferable.
Do you think he could actually like soul fire his own face to get to Molten Giant range earlier?
No way. There are times to do that. Like Shrevko told me about some of those plays where you soul fire things so that we have Molten Giant in better range, and then like heal yourself. And I always tell him that I'll let you make those plays and I'll let me get excited about it. But I don't want to be on the receiving end of bad RNG with soul fire and discarding one of your important cards.
By the way, he finally gets a Mountain Giant, and just in time because he exactly has 5 mana for it. But do you play Mountain Giant here, or do you go with the Sludge Belcher?
I think Giants is pretty good. It kind of just outperforms the Sludge Belcher in every way. You're not really that concerned with how much health you have, just because you do have Molten Giants, but you don't have Taunters, so I guess you are a little bit more paranoid.
But on the other hand, you have the Shadow Flame, so even if you go to 10
True.
points of health, you can just clear the board. On the other hand, Thijs doesn't know if there are fireballs or not. He didn't see them, but playing against a mage, you just assume that there are fireballs. You even assume that there is a Pyroblast, because you have to. At some point, you have to play around those cards.
What to do?
Yeah, Thijs didn't see it last turn, but it's still not indicative. Maybe Hype just got bad draws and he didn't have Fireball or didn't have a place to utilize it. So these are always things in the back of mind. It seems like Hype really utilized common cards in the metagame that's expected. Brawl and Warrior, Fireball and Mage. and allowed it to squeeze in more effective cards. Who knows? Maybe you know, the Frost Novas or the Cone of Cold was able to squeeze in based off the expectation that Fireball's in it, and as a result, you can gain a lot of tempo through threatening one while having the other.
And it's a fantastic strategy for this kind of tournament where information is key. And if you cut fireballs, you're basically playing with 32 cards in your deck. Because your opponent will always assume that you have those fireballs. If you play Brawl, it's like 31 cards because you play something else. With the Brawl, it's actually pretty tricky because we've seen it not working that well a couple of times for him.
Right. To a point it works, but it can backfire for sure.
Certainly. But on the other hand, it's really something innovative and a ballsy move that he made to give himself an advantage. And this makes him a dangerous opponent because you will never expect what's actually missing from his deck and what he did add to make his deck more stable and to surprise you.
Yeah, it's another dimension of deck building. It's not about what secret tech is he including. Like, is he playing Harrison or Black Note or BGH? But it's like, excuse me, sneezed. It's about what cards that he probably even excluded, such as this. Tyson, in a tough situation, he does have the ability to use Ironbeak Owl to silence his own minions that get frozen in the future. So that might be one of his ways he pushes for damage. In the meantime, just build it up against Mage. But Hype's got freezes for days. He's got Cone of Gold, he's got Frost Nova and Blizzard, and even a Doomsayer to kind of seal the deal here.
Kind of sad because he is in a position where probably love to use Cone of Cold and a Doomsayer. But then the Iron Beak will just be able to kill, like, you can just unfreeze the Mountain Giant and kill the Doomsayer. So it puts Hype in a difficult situation where the board is bigger and bigger, and he just used his removal, which is the Doomsayer.
Yeah, but he has continual freezes, and he's not afraid of Leroy combo just yet. So still decent. The only problem is, you know, these reachers. If his opponent puts Molten Giants down and Taunters, his minions can't be the one pushing in damage. It's going to be a little bit tricky for Hype to finish the game. He can set it up so that way he's in a good position to. But if his opponent has double Molten Argus, well, it's going to be a little bit harder to get past that wall.
Right now it's a Molten plus Iron Beak, I guess. I wonder if he will silence the Giant or the Doomsayer. I think Giant is better.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, just get rid of the Doomsayer. In case of a possible duplicate, just getting 2 Doomsayers back. And now Hype is staring at a very formidable board. Yes, the freeze still. Hey. Is he able to actually finish the game after that?
He doesn't have direct damage. This is it's tricky. You know, the Water Elemental's done so much work, but he's also kind of getting lucky that there isn't Sun Fury protectors yet in the hand of Tice. And Tice is also in the back of mind, so afraid of a Fireball finish, by the way. That might affect his play if he plays something like Siphon Soul instead of dropping down Taunters.
I was thinking if Tice would actually overextend, but it seems like he's fine with that. Play the Molten Giant and Siphon Soul, the Elemental. I like this play. He's not afraid of a second Doomsayer or anything that will clear his board. He's getting to a safe 15 points of health range.
Flame Strike. Wow, it's another way to set up after Blizzard comes down. Hype also mulling over the opportunity to play maybe duplicate or even set up his hero power so that way Flame Strike's even better next turn.
I think that duplicate was better. He has 26 points of health and having a ton on board, I wouldn't be afraid. Unless you want to set up Alexstrasza next turn, but Alexstrasza is not needed. Your opponent has 20 points of health. You should be able to use Flame Strike.
Yeah, Flame Strike needs to reach a little bit deeper so that way it can kill some of these minions, but it seems... Oh man, the wall just keep piling up. It seems like Hype still has need of reach damage. He's got Frostbolt, but still needs something else.
It's his burst card. It's his only direct damage card. But what does it even mean? What do you do here? You can use Flame Strike and you can use Pink on one target, which is
What to do?
probably the 8/5
What to do?
Mountain Giant. How do you win being being hyped? Thijs is like having a clear way, clear path to victory. But hyped is in a situation where he wants to win, but
Yeah, we've been asking this question for quite some time. I'm trying to figure it out.
well,
I'm
he
trying to
just
figure out if he lets this live, he's gonna die too potentially because he can't kill off all these giants.
the thing about his deck is that you have only this one strategy of trying to win the board control and board presence battle, but this time he certainly lost it. He's really behind. He will need to survive and get another Flame Strike or Blizzard, but I think he's only playing one. Is he,
All right, well,
he out of his freezes, by the way? Like, did he actually use every card that's controlling the board?
quite possibly. He used 2 Frost Novas and Blizzard and even Kona Cold. A big Taunter is also possible with Defender of Arius. In fact, he's got 20 damage right now. Still a lot. By the way, Tice also knows that this is duplicate now instead of Ice Block. So he can expect more Taunters, but now this gives him an opportunity, a small window, where perhaps he can push in as much damage as possible.
And he got a Taunt Giver as well.
Hype is
he's-
down to 10 health.
Yeah. Do you do Ice Block?
Oh yeah, you have to. You have to, otherwise you're in potential of dying. He's gonna play his Sludge Belcher and try to stall. But I think with this Farseer draw, that guarantees him to be able to proc this, right?
How much damage is this? You attack into a 3/5. Then you play Farseer, you heal your H2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually proc it.
Or
Heal
you
the
can
1,
even,
2, or 4.
you know, Defender of Argus push through as well. You'd be a little bit short though. Either way, there's an opportunity for Tice to pop if this is Ice Block. I don't think you're even concerned if it's duplicate again, whatsoever.
Do you feel like you're pressured, by the way? Because maybe a better way would be just to play Defender of Argus and Farseer and heal yourself to put yourself out of any possible damage combination.
True.
Clear the board and just attack with whatever you have.
Yeah, you have to kind of respect the Mage's Fireball. We've been kind of ignoring that fact because Tice has been sitting at 12 health for a few turns now, and we know Hype doesn't have direct damage. And it seems like he is going to go for that play instead. He's going to barely leave up his opponent at enough health to survive one more turn. The dream is still alive for Hype.
Doomsayer. Doomsayer is a cool draw, but he doesn't have a way to actually freeze the board. He used all the cards. Blizzard, Flame Strike, double Frost Nova.
Well, above everything else, Hellfire, like if he does anything minion-wise, Hellfire also pops Ice Block.
If he plays Alexstrasza into himself, does it help?
Not really. The Giants just kill. And you pop it
then-
anyways.
Yeah, Dice can pop it anyway. I guess. Sludge Belcher, duplicate Doomsayer. Because then the Sludge Belcher will have to die first. You will get double Sludge Belcher to your hand. And the Doomsayer will still have to die, so there's a slight possibility that maybe the Ice Block will not get
Yeah.
popped.
What to
And if
No,
Ice
actually, I
Block
think
is-
you're right.
do?
I think that's the most decent play possible.
It's a really
And if-
defensive play. It still brings up the question how Hyped wins from this position. And he is running out of time.
If the Ice Block is being popped and the Doomsayer triggers, after that, Hype can actually play Alexstrasza. You know, if you clear the board with Doomsayer and then you Alexstrasza yourself, then you have a good chance to actually win. Looking at the Tice's hand.
Well, now he has the opportunity to use these minions' potential as trade because Ice Block will get popped, and then he'll have Doomsayer Sludge Belch the following turn anyways.
But he's dead to Hellfire, so he will have to play Alexstrasza.
That's true.
I wonder.
That's the problem. Like, Hype will have to assume that he's dead to Hellfire, Soulfire, like anything with direct damage.
Yeah. And now he's going to try to see if he can force remove a little bit, but Tice also has Shadow Flame. So now
Another
he can
option
go
for
for the
Hype.
full removal.
Another option for Hype is to get another Ice Block and then play... It does look good. It does look good.
Yeah. Molten Giant coming a little bit too late. But even so, it probably would have gotten cleared by something like Shadow Flame. It looks like no matter what Hype does, it's his last turn here.
That there's no possible combination of cards right now that saves him from the Hellfire.
And I think this is kind of one of those situations where you're just kind of a victim of how the matchup goes. Because there's going to be a very tangible point where the Handlock's drawn enough of his deck where it just keeps setting up taunts and big minions, and you only have so much AoE freeze and removal before he starts to overwhelm you, and you don't have Reachers to end the game. You have two Frost Bolts. That's all's in Hype's deck.
This
And
Shadow
now
Flame
Hype
is
is
so
going to have
handy,
to
by
play
the way.
Miracle Rogue. He has to play his Miracle Rogue in order to win this series.
I'm sure he's not sad about that. He is a Miracle Rogue master, one of many. And the deck that can win a 3-0 without any problems. And he only has to win two more games. Thijs, Sigh of Relief, again, he was so tense, but he knows that this is not a nice block.
That's right, it's Duplicate, and Game 4 is over. Hyped will turn to his Miracle. Will Hyped be the one that be able to win here or go home? We'll find out with his Miracle deck. He's going to be off the coin once again, a little bit unlucky for him, as every time he's played Miracle Rogue, it seems like he doesn't get the coin. But at least he's been getting his gadget stands, and he has preparation.
What do you think about the theory that if you're not getting a coin, it seems like you have a coin every other turn?
Yeah, we talked about this last time we casted, I believe, together. And I like it in the control matchups a lot. You just play your threats before your opponent. The only turns you're kind of afraid is that if they're able to squeeze out something a little bit earlier, say, like they're able to put out like a turn 6 threat and they coin it out. Or even if you play a threat, they have an opportunity to faceless it if they're 1 mana behind. So with this in mind, I generally think control decks, you really care about having going first. In aggro decks, it makes total sense to have the coin, though, so you can put out double 1-drops and whatnot.
Yeah, and put more pressure on a certain key turn. By the way, a pretty nice hand from both players. Hype has the Gadgetson Conceal combo, and Thijs actually has the Mountain Giant, which is super important. He has a coin, so he was able to play Farseer without delaying the Mountain Giant, which will be played next turn. He also has Lothep, which is a pretty important card, because after Gadgetson Conceal, if Thijs plays Lothep, he is just sealing that Gadgetson for that super important turn. And then he will be able to kill it next turn if possible. Right now, how do you deal with this Molten Giant? How do you deal with this Mountain Giant being hyped?
You gotta sap it. But I don't think he has the opportunity to. He probably wants to conceal and utilize that. Second preparation would be absolutely amazing here for Hype.
Well, he can still get it. One more draw.
The Eviscerate allows him to actually kill off this Giant too, and he can start off draws with other cards, save the sap for a more important target.
Oh, he takes the gamble. Because he is staring at the 5 points of mana, but still his opponent will be able to coin Siphon Soul. He will be able to... Oh, he's using Shadow Step, right? Yeah, that's pretty nice. He just went through many cards through his deck, and he makes his hand much more stable. And with Gadgetson for 3 mana, he will be able to still cast spells. He'll still be able to conceal it next turn if he wants to. So he's making his hand pretty stable and like trying to stabilize the situation. You really need to kill that first Mountain Giant that's being dropped. And it works. It worked for him here.
Yeah, because Tice doesn't have a follow-up play that easily other than Lotheb itself. And then Hype can play around it in a sense by just playing his own minions. and trying to answer card for card. The fact is, though, he has to be careful because if his opponent has burst like Leroy and Power Overwhelming Soulfire, any kind of combination, he's looking at death in a couple of turns as well.
Well, right now, Dice can actually buff Lothab if he wants to, or just attack and play Sludge Belcher. Sludge Belcher is also pretty good in this matchup, by the way. It's another taunt that you have to somehow deal with and sap it, or kill it with a big Blade Flurry. So he has a lot of options.
It's a little tricky because how much do you want to press with what you have? You're still sitting at a very comfortable life total, and you also just use Shadow Step, so he's a little bit out of burst. So do you think pressing for damage you can afford to do that, or do you feel like this is a big enough threat of a Lotheb that you want to just shut it down as fast as possible?
I would be fine with Lothab. Being Handlock here, you're an aggressor. You're the beatdown. You just want to deal as much damage as possible, because Miracle Rogue won't have any taunts, and he won't have also any healing possibilities. So he's going for the trade anyway, but going for face was also a very valid play.
All right, well, that's going to give an opportunity for Hype to be able to draw some more cards. They're looking for preparation number 2.
Yeah, I guess he has to shiv in here and just draw 2 cards. Preparation number 2 would be pretty good. Oh, he gets it.
A little bit late, though. Because now he can't really utilize preparation any other way other than, I guess it's Cold Blood.
Well, he can play just Cold Blood without preparation, so I guess he might also enter in here and assume that there is no way to clear the Gadgetzan.
Yeah, because then you hope that your opponent doesn't have, like, Shadow Flame. Even then, he needs a little bit more. I mean, you can just cycle preparation as well if you feel like it. Ooh.
Well, possibly... Do you sap? Just cycling a card? You still have a
it is a
sap.
taunt target, too. Band of Knives. The ordering of these cards are a little bit more painful for Hyped. Tyson, in the meantime, is also just kind of getting bored and drowsy. There's just so many cards being drawn this turn. It's taking the entire turn.
Yeah, Miracle Rogue is a really interesting deck to play, and a lot of players struggle. The sequencing, the cards, the guesses, because you have to make an educated guess that after preparation, you want to draw a specific card, so you have to know the odds and the number of cards you have in your deck, and what are the chances that you will draw the card that you actually need, and which card do you actually need. So in the beginning, when you start playing Miracle Rogue, you kind of struggle because you don't exactly know the number of cards you have in your deck, and it's hard to count and to make those educated guesses. But players like Hyped, who play tons of games with this specific deck, they are mostly making good decisions and good gambles. Like, even if it seems that he made a wrong decision because he didn't get the card he needed, he might get just a bad RNG at some point, and still the decision was good, but he just didn't get the card with the better odds he calculated.
A little painful for Tice, by the way, that he didn't draw any way to activate the Shadow Flame with Ancient Watch or whatnot, so this Gadgetzan still sits here with 8 damage possibility. Tice hovering over his Iron Beak Owl. Does he want to Mortal Coil it or something? I'm not sure. No, it's just weird.
Well, he is the beatdown, I guess, so he has to attack and just hope. But it's so painful if Gadgetzan actually stays on board if you have no way to answer it. He's now Hyped can do everything he wants.
Yeah, it's a big shift in plans for Tice because in the past he was playing more control on the board, like his Lotheb attacking the other opponent's Lotheb. But now he's going for the aggressive play because that's all he can do, saving his Sun-Free Protector in case he picks up Molten Giant. That's what makes the most sense here.
What do you think about sapping the Sludge Belcher first? Potentially you will have...
When you have Eviscerate, I don't think you need to do that.
Sure.
Because then you have Eviscerate and SI7 agent.
Yeah, that's fine as well.
You're also still a few mana away from Leroy double Power Overwhelming. Or sorry, double Faceless, whatever combination.
You really want to play that Van Cleef, right? But you can't. You have to deal with the 8, if the 1-2. If the 1-2 actually would tank the 8-4 Gadgetzan, it would be so painful.
3 cards left for Hype, by the way. One of them is Shadow Step. So that's a way for him to draw into damage ending, the damage to end the game here. Thijs picks up Twilight Drake, which is a card he can taunt up, but we know that this is why Hype kept sapped. And he needs to also kill off this threat as soon as possible.
Well, he can play Drake and Shadow Flame.
Yeah, you know, he's got multiple ways to deal with it. He can taunt up Soulfire, Siphon Soul, Soulfire, play something.
You draw a card. Draw a card, then play Drake, taunt it up. Then Soulfire.
It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit too risky to lower yourself this amount of health. I mean, your opponent still has a lot of cards in his hand. He's almost through his deck entirely. I think you're kind of at the mercy of what Miracle can do. And this is like the entire point of what Miracle is capable of doing if Handlock doesn't draw its early threats with Twilight Drake and Mountain Giant.
Doesn't get the Shadow Step. This might be important because he's not able to finish it this turn. He has to deal some points of damage and just build the board, and he will just get the Shadow Step and win. Things like Thijs doesn't have very exciting cards in his hand. Playing Black Knight and toning it up is not something you want to do.
You know, Hype has to actually be a little careful here because now it's coming up on the mana where his opponent can also Leroy Power Overwhelming Faceless. So if he takes his time, I'm just gonna try and play some minions here and there. His opponent might draw into a way to end the game. So Farseer seems to be like a little bit of a priority, just to kind of put things slightly more out of range if he has Leroy.
Yeah, certainly that's a good play. He just develops his board with 2 minions that needs to be removed. Still has the Deadly Poison on the weapon, so that's 3 points of damage. Even if he doesn't get the Shadow Step, Shadow Step is the last card. How much damage is it, by the way? It's only 1 Shadow Step. So right now Leroy is only 6 points of damage, and
yeah, he's got, let's see, he's got 12 on board plus Leroy, so that's 18. And you can squeeze out a little bit more with Blade Flurry if you have Blood Mage. So he's got about 19 damage. Thijs is going to be in a little bit tough spot though, because it looks like he's going to play removal turn, but then he really hopes his Soulfire doesn't discard something like his Faceless Manipulator. That might be his only way to win the game at this point.
oh my god, dropping low.
Gonna be back at 19, which is gonna be a little bit outside the range right now of Hyped if he even has Shadow Step.
Oh my god, he lost the Protector. That's tough. It's not the Shadow Step. Shadow Step is the last card.
Oh man, so Hyped has to just win this with minions, but then Thijs also has Shadow Flame. So even if he sets up minions, which some of them, by the way, are accelerating his fatigue, like Azure Drake draws in his last card, he's actually going to start taking fatigue damage, and then if Thijs draws Leroy, then Faceless Leroy might just end the game.
I'm thinking if there's any way to actually win this turn, but not really. If he plays Gnomish Inventor, gets that Shadow Step, he still has 6, so he will be able to deal 15.
So many options.
So it's not this turn yet, and he should be afraid of another taunt.
Yeah, but his opponent just lost Sun Fury Protector.
Also playing Gadgetzan.
And he also has Sap.
Tough. Yeah, he has a Sap.
Maybe
Maybe just
Gadgetsan's
play...
too much of a liability. It's the same thing as playing Azure Drake effectively.
Well, at least it doesn't draw you the card at the same turn.
True, but most likely you're going to be playing spells anyways. Because Shadow Step is one of them. He's going to put as much power as he can on board. And Hyped is officially out of cards in his deck. Needs to go as much as he can with as many minions as possible. He will be taking a couple of damage next turn. Thijs draws Mountain Giant. So
Needs
he
to
can
Shadow
go for
Flame.
Shadow Flame play and make Hype draw into 3 damage of fatigue.
Yeah, that's a very strong play, by the way. But maybe do you use Mortal Coil first to just use your Mortal Coil to just cycle it?
So
Right. Yeah, I think so, because you want to push for Leroy as hard as you can. This is starting to get a little crazy. I can't believe how many cards are left in Tice's deck compared to Hyped. Just
I'm trying
looking
to-
visually.
Trying to count if Hype actually has enough damage. He has 12 points of damage with Leroy, 3 more with the weapon, that's 15. And then 16 with Blade Flurry.
So he's going to be a little bit short.
Yeah, he doesn't have lethal next turn.
Insane. Sun Fury Protector. So he's got ways to
That's-
follow up his big taunters.
If he gets some Molten Giants. Oh my god, this game this is anybody's game still.
It's still pretty tight. Oh, he's going to go with Faceless, though. He's going to save Black Knight?
I think it's fine. Just
Well, you-
faces the Twilight. It's the same effect, kind of.
Well, what I like the Faceless does is it gives you flexibility for Leroy, even taunting your own giant. Or, sorry, making a copy of the taunted giant. Like,
Maybe he
Black
wants
Knight's
to
not going to be any more useful compared to the coin. Is the coin going to be... I guess because you... Oh, I know. The coin gives you flexibility, right? Next turn you can play Mountain Giant and Sun Fury
Yeah.
Protector. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So now being
Man,
hyped,
that sucks.
are you 1 damage of lethal or like 2 damage of lethal? That's 12, 15, 16. You're 1 damage of lethal. That sucks. So what do you do if you're 1 damage of lethal? You just type Bible Thump.
No, you play your minions and you cross your... I mean, he did just use Faceless, though, which is kind of nice. And you still have Sap. How much fatigue damage can you even take, by the way? Next turn, you're taking 3. You use... If you play, like, Gnomish Inventor, then you're taking 4. Oh, he's going to go for Leroy play? He's just going to go for it and Sap an attack to the face?
This is interesting.
Wow, he's just going to go for it. It's a ballsy play, but you know what? It might pay off for him because Hype realizes it's his best chance, his opportunity. He still has Sap to potentially go for it. Tice is at 1 HP. He can't even tap for an answer.
Sick.
He needs Molten Giant or something.
Gets the Leroy.
Oh, his own Leroy.
But it doesn't matter. Would it matter if you would get the faces though? Still, not enough.
No, his opponent, Hype would have lost 3 from fatigue. So he would have been at 12 health.
He's dead. Like, there's no way. Hype actually exiting. Like, he can't watch this so much.
No, it's the moment of truth. He doesn't want to know this. He's worked so hard, and this is his tournament life on the line, but I don't see a
Yeah.
way to Tice out of this situation.
This is match point, and Tice can't do anything. I mean, he can play Mountain Giant, but Tice knows that there is a second sap. Everybody's playing double sap, and Hype just got all the cards he needed.
Oh
Tice is
man, he can't even
agonizing.
remove because there's nothing else there. He's just gonna have to hope that there is no second sap. And Hyped is gonna win this series by the skin of his teeth and stays in the tournament while Tice drops his first series. Well played is a good summary of how everything has panned out. Hype puts his headphones back and he's like, all right, we're still in it.
Sick. This is a very nice finish. Well played by Hype. He took the risk and it paid off. He mapped it out perfectly. We've seen some fatigue damage finally, and yeah, that's pretty nice play.